Hey there, YouTube. It's Petey. Donna and I just got back from our third micro remote. It went good enough. Ups and downs, I'll say. Now, we did play our full set, and the sound was really good. I gotta say, it was better. I had the larger speakers this time for the guitar, and I've been working out more of the issues. Now, we didn't get as loud today, and the weak point is still gomti's bass. I could never hear you.
I
you
could. I mean,
you got to turn it up a little
I
bit.
was up all the time.
Well, I had made custom patches for the Korg Pandora for gomti, and we still kind of got to work the bugs out of that. Eventually these people that were in the pavilion for hours and hours and hours for Grandma's birthday, they finally left, and we started turning stuff on, and then I realized the MP3 player wasn't working. So that thing, it was funky. I built it in 3 stages, and I built it, and then I added in a preamp, and I added in an EQ board. And the wiring was funky. There was like 2 distinctly different voltages that it wanted to see. So I had a 3 battery pack, and then I added another of 4. So 4 of these batteries. But one of the circuits was powered off only 3 of the batteries. The other was powered off of 4. So there was some ground loop or some bad wiring in there. When I built it, I wasn't so sure about how I wired it. It was wired one way, and the ground went through the switch, and then I removed it and just grounded. I think there's some kind of a connection, either an indirect short is what they call it. That's something having to do with the chassis ground for the foot switches, which is a mod that I did on the MP3 decoder board. Hopefully I didn't smoke that decoder board. We did smell some smell, like a burning electrical component smell. They call that magic smoke. And this is the case. I mean, I build this stuff, and you never know till you take it out in the field, and then sometimes we had issues, and we had one board die. This has happened twice since 2010. We've had 2 amp boards just give up the ghost for no reason. We're not even playing it. Like we turn it on and it's dead. So I've been rebuilding the stuff that I built. We'll go. Something won't really work, and we'll either jury rig it or run home and get a replacement and kind of limp our way through it. So this is the 3rd time we've done this, and this time all the amplification worked flawlessly, but it was the MP3 player that gave me grief this time. Now, gomti had brought with this little backup that I built. And this one I added this preamp here. So when that happened, we get there. There's people in the pavilion. So we drag the stuff up and say hi, and then we sit quietly and wait. Finally, they said, hey, are we holding you up? And I said, oh, no, it's no rush at all. Happy birthday, you guys were here first. Eventually, they took off. So we start tuning up, everything's working great, and then the MP3 player, which is it's a bread pan, and it's got foot switch for play, pause, rewind, fast forward, and then there's an EQ switch, a power switch, and the control panel for the MP3 decoder board. It's got a master volume knob, and there's 2 outputs. So I can run one line to a set of smaller treble speakers, and then another line to more bass speakers, and get 4 speakers. 2 the amplifiers are just doing the high end. The other 2, they're just doing the bass, the low end. And it's kind of a hackish way of doing it, but when the MP3 player failed, we had this, and this only has 1 jack. So I could wire in another jack, or you could just use a passive splitter. And that's what we did. I jumped in the car. I ran home. This place is pretty close to where we live. So I was able to make it back in 10 minutes with the splitter cable. And then we were able to run both sets of speakers. Now my guitar cut out. I don't know what that was about. I ended up unplugging and replugging. And it was still dead. And then I did that again. And then I had it. So that was odd. And then I have this programmed, and this expression pedal, in some cases on the patches wasn't right. Like it's supposed to do blend in the level of echo or delay. Like when you have it like this, there's no echo, and when you put it down, it's some echo. And it was like when you put it down, it was all echo, and that wasn't how I had it programmed. There was other patches that when I activated this, you step down on it to turn that feature on. It was like doing something completely different, like it was a wah-wah effect or something. So I would have to go and kind of fiddle with it and reprogram it and save it. So this gave me a little grief. It's just like these micro remotes have been plagued with stuff going wrong, right?
I wouldn't say plagued, but there's always one little thing that's...
Okay, well...
It's not like plug it in and play. It's always, you gotta go home.
But our main remotes that we've done were never like that. It was always like everything just worked.
Right, we have less problems there. We've had a couple problems where you had to fix them, like MacGyver things up.
There was a couple of things, yes, but Donna, it was how many seasons did we get away with nothing going wrong? There was one board that failed with the kids. That was the first thing that happened. I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I said, finish cooking that up and turn it on. Be brave and turn it on yourself. And she turned it on, and it was blown. So we had that happen. And I didn't get upset. I wasn't like, what did you do? You know, I like specifically told her to turn it on. And then the thing is blown. So, yeah, it happens, you know, and I'm certainly not perfect. And I remembered this MP3 player being complicated and being kind of weird how I wired it up. So yeah, I have to monkey with that. More than likely, see if it's like the main circuit is the MP3 board. That was not responding to the foot switches. So I don't know if this sounds really bad. I may have to flip the polarity on the switching. First off, check for chassis ground interference. Is there some ground loop or hot wire that's shorting to the ground? Are the pins on the momentary contact switches connected to the ground for those switches? They're not. I did contesting on them. So if I do a resistance test and clip onto the chassis and then each one of these connections independently and see, is one of these terminals a much higher resistance, which they call that an indirect short. So I have to do a little big boy electronic stuff or rebuild the whole thing and isolate the switching, which would be like either rebuild the entire unit in a plastic enclosure or enlarge the holes for the foot switches and put in plastic plates or a strip of plastic and then mount each one of those foot switches on a plastic strip. So that's what I'm looking at doing to figure this out. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a goof, you know. And gomti, if I build something, does it work or is there problems with it?
It usually works.
It's all, my shit always comes up. Always, 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 always. There's never problems. And I'm like, oh yeah, we went out and this micro remote has just been one thing after another. Every time we go out, there's one of the devices is not working. And like one time, it was a unexplained blown amp board. We had that happened again on a micro remote just recently. The second time, there was a bad jack. It was hardware failure the second time. And that's worked fine ever since. I tried 2 different speaker sets. You know what I really like? Would be both. I would like to get they have these amp boards that have 4 amps. So I could have 4 speakers out for my guitar. To use those, the 2 that we brought today and then the 2 from last time. Because those have like this treble on them that I missed on today's. The tweeters aren't as good as these, the larger speakers. The bass was much better, you know. So anyway, guys, that was the remote. We waited for a while. Then the stuff didn't work. We brought it back up so that we had it covered. But I realized our backup only had 1 output jack, and I had wired 2 on the MP3 player unit with a preamp. So I ran home for 10 minutes, and I had a splitter cable, which it gave me those 2 outputs. And this, I had wired in a preamp on it, which made it comparable, made it sound really fine having the 2 systems split off, because it had a little booster. So instead of plugging them in both and each one getting half as loud because they're sharing a line, this is a booster, so it compensated for that. So that was really good that I had the wherewithal to one night just be like, you know what, I got one of those extra booster circuits, stereo preamp. They're like $2 on eBay. They're like $1.58 for that. Why don't you wire one in on the backup MP3? So I was like, man, Petey, you did good. And Gomti, you did even better for bringing this stupid thing, because we had it. Mind you, I hadn't thought this through about having to use a backup unit. So I ran home and brought the splitter cable, which enabled us to use all 4 of the speakers that we typically use for our mains. So it was some not ideal conditions, and that gets me kind of shaky and kind of angry, and there's like a lot of people. There's a lot of people, and I can't really read it. I can't read there was an old guy that came up and was like, or people want to know if we're a band. They're like, are you a band? And it's like, well, no, or yeah, no. I mean, what, like, define that.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing music, so I guess, but like, yeah, like, are you in a band? Well,
We're not a professional band. We don't play on stages. No. It's a rude thing to ask, because it's like if you see people playing, there's 2 people there and it sounds good, you should forego that and say, oh,
we've been listening
this
to
is something else. You guys sound good, or whatever. What's the deal with your group? But the question is, are you a band? And it's like, no, we're not a band. We're a husband and wife. We love making music. If we were to do this in our apartment, wouldn't be fair to the neighbors. So we find places outdoor where we might be able to get away with it without offending too many people, because it's kind of loud. And everyone seemed to say that it wasn't loud, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh no, it's fine. Whatever.
But they can hear it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
They can hear it. So hopefully we'll be able to continue doing this because it's near our home. I had a great time today. I really did. I had a better time last time. I had so much fun dancing around. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
I was like old soft shoe or something. I was like dancing around with my guitar and like I had fun, you know, and I never do that. So, like I said, when the technical aspect of it, like it's bad enough that people were there and we had to wait. Then it was like, I'm thinking it's going to be dark when we're wrapping it up. And that's like I've failed. That's like I've ruined the whole thing. And I mean, does it matter? You know, ideally we'd have light to unpack our stuff and put it in the bags and get it to the car. So that's nothing but our own fault for not getting over there earlier. Because if we get over there earlier, we beat those people. So next time,
Who knows? Who knows how long they were there? But yeah, right.
next time, I'm telling you, that's the whole secret to this, is just get there early. And yesterday, I was on I-55 at midnight driving home from a concert. So it didn't work out. You know, I got home and I needed to wind down. I could have stayed up till 7 a.m., which how jaked up I was. I was just like, you know, after the show, when I'm leaving, there was a woman who like ran the show there at Reggie's Rock Club. She was standing at the door giving out coupons for $1 Tallboy PBR beers, 16-ounce cans of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, which is really good tasting beer. It's not a high alcohol beer, but it's a good tasting beer. And I was like, I haven't had a beer. Donna, when was the last time I had a beer?
I honestly don't know when's the last time you had a beer.
It was like last year, maybe.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you when's the last time you had a beer.
Well, we were at a bar or something. So it was something, and I'm like I had one.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't drink beer. It doesn't agree with my. I have chronic gout. So last night, after the show was over at 11 or 11:30, whatever it was, this woman gives me a coupon for $1 PBR, and this bar has multiple stages, and on the second stage was a thrash metal band from Calgary, Canada. I think they were called Traveler. And they were really good. These guys, they had 2 guitar players. And the singer looked like a biker dude. He had all kinds of hair and facial hair. And he had on like a cut-off jean jacket. And he was singing kind of like King Diamond. Like he could get up into that higher range. And they were super loud. Oh my goodness, were they loud. The drummer was wailing to keep up with these amps. They were unbelievably loud, and they were tight. They some of their stuff reminded me of like top shelf 80s thrash metal. Like they were just killer. And people are going, throwing their hand in the air because he's doing that and getting the crowd going. And I drank that beer pretty quickly, and then the alcohol affected me, and I was like, this is awesome, man. I was standing there doing air bass and just like way in the back, leaning up against the, because this is a lot of regulars in there, and these guys, they all have like the uniform. Like
Traveler,
one of them.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that says Traveler.
One of them had, a guy had corpse paint around his eyes and like white, and he was all like, and these guys, they just look like they're up to no good. All these guys, they got like their Bathory t-shirts on and like all the accoutrements, the studs and the leather, and you know, and here's me. You know? So it was hell getting on I-55 last night, and the turn lane to go 90-94 off of Cermak or whatever I was on, there was a couple of African-American beggars out there. And I don't know what this guy, if he was drinking or if he was on heroin and crack or all three. I think all three. but he was like shoving his cup way up in the air, and then he would like fall down and come up and put his hand on your fender, catching his breath, and then with the cup, like and I sat there for maybe 8 minutes, and nobody's going when the light turns green because this guy is falling asleep on shitting on the hood of your car or whatever he's doing. And then once I got on the highway, it was the Apocalypse 500. It was just like everybody had come to the city to get their blocaine or their weed or whatever they needed to get, and then they needed to get home. So it was like a bunch of drunks swerving and doing 45, and then a bunch of people trying to do 90. It was absolute hell getting home. Like unbelievably frustrating. You would find a lane, and then two guys would come up racing and get all tailgating on you. You'd have to find another lane, and it was just these people that drive so unbelievably aggressively, like driving like 90 to 100 miles an hour, and then they won't change lanes. They just come and ride you with their brights. Like this stuff. It was like that the whole, like from Chicago all the way to where I got off. And it was either, drunks doing 45 or people doing 90. And then I'm like doing maybe 80. So I'm having to pass all the, I'm not doing 80. I was doing 70. That's what I like to do. 70, 75, And depending on the conditions, if it's slick, no way, or if it's raining, no way. I'm better at 55. That's the type of driver I am. So I'm getting old, and that ride home from the concert was not fun after that beer. Mind you, I stayed there, and then I ate in the car. I didn't slam this tall boy beer and then just jump in and get on the highway. I stayed there till the alcohol worked its way out of me after a half hour. And then I went to the car and ate a turkey wrap and a bag of chips and drank a big thing of lemonade before I drove home. And when I was home, I immediately started drinking a little red wine. I kind of try to come down from that. So I was up super late last night. And the last thing that I wanted to do was this remote. I really didn't want to do it. I really, really, really didn't want to do it. I want to spend some money. There's a couple purchases I want to make. And I want to play video games. I want to play Command & Conquer. I want to play Red Alert. And I want to play Red Alert 3 General's Evolution mod. Then I got this game called Iron Forge or something. It's a newer strategy game. Iron Harvest, I think it is.
Yeah.
Iron Harvest Operation Eagle. I got that game. I want to play that. I tried to get a copy of Stray, this game where you play a stray cat. And it looks so cute. This cat, it looks like a Pixar movie. This video game, the graphics are so cool. It looks like a Disney or a Pixar movie. And it's so cute, and it's like you're this stray cat, you live in the city, and that's the premise of this game. It's called Stray. And animal lovers, specifically cat lovers, are people who are playing this game. So I got that game, and I found out our computer won't run it. You need a newer video card. I looked at the video cards, they're like $400. I'm like, I'm not playing that game. So I gotta see. Is Iron Harvest going to be another waste of my time? Because there's some services that can check your computer and look at the specifications and tell you, will you be able to run this game? And one of them said no, and the other one said, well, if you turn the graphic settings down, you'll be fine. So I'm hoping And I know that sounds selfish. It sounds not productive. Someone saying, like, what do you have planned? What's on the menu? And I'm saying, video gaming. You got to understand how much frustration and all the work building this micro rig. This year, I did so much work for a couple other people. I did a real lot of work that didn't benefit me, and I didn't really. Well, it turns out I'm getting back on that. I guess I am, but I fixed 8 laptops for this guy. I gave one to a good friend, so I don't want to complain. But man, it was a lot of work, and this carpal tunnel thing with my hand going completely numb, and I have a rash on my thumb, and it's almost like a chemical burn where the skin peels off of it. So the more I work, the more I have these issues with my hand and stuff, and now I find I have a whole nother project. I need to maybe rebuild that box. I'm going to have to order MP3 boards from China again. It's kind of a bummer. But the show must go on, and I got to tell you guys, I really want to shoot at one of these micro remotes so we can hear the sound, so I can and you know, share a video with you guys. I think the sound is a lot different, and again, it's gonna fall shy with the bass. With a bass guitar, Donna's instrument, you really need a 15-inch speaker. We're using a 6.5, I think. So it's at that point that it's almost like the bass is pretend. It's an afterthought. So it is what it is. I really had fun today. Apart from me complaining about, there was people, and we met, there was one guy that came up who was really nice, who struck up a conversation. Then there was an older couple that we talked to for a while, and they were great. Yeah. Apart the asking us if we're a band, like, well, you tell me. We've been here for 2 hours playing instrumental music that sounds good. I produced all the backing tracks myself. I'm playing the guitar. My wife is playing the bass. We wrote all of these songs. You tell me, are we a band? They were nice, though. So anyway, wish me luck on this. I got to rebuild this thing. I'm going to be making some special purchases for Petey. And I'm going to be gaming. But, man, a couple of these songs sounded really good today. I thought the Robin song sounded good. Hoagland's Flight always sounds good. And then there's a couple that don't work as good on the micro, I think. Maybe I might have to adjust that set list. All right, you guys. I'll shut my amper now. And keep in mind, if you have the chance to hug your pets, if you could do that for me. If you have a pet, you could give it a treat or some extra affection. Attempt to communicate how much you love that animal. You could do that favor for me. And try to stay cool. And peace.